What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Soft Cell, and as always, big shout out to Kim, who has provided not only Soft Cell, but a wealth of other music, some of which I've begun going through, some of which is still waiting in the wings, and much of which I have enjoyed immensely, and indeed, we're going to listen to a handful of tracks, starting with this one here, Her Imagination, that Kim mentioned are B-sides or non-album tunes from the era of This Last Night in Sodom. Eventually I will go on to an album from the early 2000s, and she said there's a couple other like 12-inch mixes that I haven't reacted to yet, but maybe not all of them are necessary to do a reaction to. But either way, I will continue to seek her guidance, and we will keep going through Soft Cell, a group I've come to enjoy so much more even than I knew going into this deep dive, where I remembered a couple of their notable hits from the 80s and was very much fond of those. But yeah, the group is a lot deeper and heavier and darker than I realized when I was a kid, so this has been very enjoyable. And yes, as I mentioned, one of the tracks we're going to go through before we jump ahead in time is Her Imagination. So we're identifying someone in this narrative or this scene that will be depicted as a female and suggesting that she has a mental activity that relates to imagination, meaning projection or conceptualization or visualization of things that are not actually happening. Not to say that they couldn't happen. You can imagine something before you do it. Like when I used to play sports a lot before I got old, when you're out on the field or the rink, if you're playing hockey, you can visualize things that may happen or are about to happen, and in that sense it's imagination. It is not actually reality yet, but it's with an expectation or a prediction that certain configurations or actions will obtain or accrue. But of course you can imagine in a more make-believe sense. You can imagine something that is incredibly unlikely but makes for a nice idea. So imagination can take different forms, but given not only Soft Cell's writing as I've come to know it in general, but maybe specifically from the era when they were on the verge of breaking up with This Last Night in Sodom, I would expect this to maybe be darker, to maybe have unsavory or, again, dark underbelly type connotations. I'll see what I can catch on the first listen. This is Soft Cell. The track is Her Imagination, and it's a non-album track included in the 12-inch mix triple CD, I think it is, or, triple album release.
She slips in and out of her dull imagination that floats around the twilight of her tomb, clutching her little treasures that represent a happy moment displayed with sad affection in her room. But this life is a prison, and it hurts to hear the children laughing while they live their pretty little dreams. And frozen all the while is her tearful bitter smile. Nothing is really what it seems. Nothing is really what it seems. Nothing is really what it seems.
I like the way that percussion came in.
Like a single fool standing at the altar, hypnotized by the candles as they burn, pressed against the mirror, playing order of favorite film stars, ready for the camera that would never, never turn. Push aside the curtain of your tiny garret window and glare out on the narrow little world. You were in your wedding dress, great expectations more or less, playing with your dolls like any ordinary little girl. Candlelight, candle bright, won't you light my way tonight? Candlelight, candle bright, won't you light my way tonight? Now it's the futile bitter feelings that clutch you in the middle. You were never really given a chance, and the spite that jabs your mind hides heart that's really womankind, and the past that races with each over inquisitive glance. You were always the outsider, and they set you up at childhood to be just another cuddly toy. And the whisper in the street when the street corner gossips meet. The woman on the fourth floor, he was such a happy boy. The woman on the fourth floor, he was such a happy boy. The woman on the fourth floor, he was such a happy boy. The woman on the fourth floor, he was such a happy boy. Light my way tonight. Candlelight, candle bright, won't you light my way tonight? Candlelight, candle bright, won't you light my way tonight?
Not only was it dark and brooding and murky, which seemingly fits a bit of the lyrics or themes at play, but it was heavy. It sounds despairing, or at least marginalizing and not critical, that's the wrong word, and not reductionist either, but a suggestion that someone is just incredibly normal and they were set up to be that way and they're not going to be the star. The camera's not going to turn their way. They're not going to get to use their wedding dress and have a beautiful wedding to someone that's important. But it felt like there was like what's the right word? Like these vignettes, none of which felt overly positive or fitting or hopeful or what someone would want. They all felt, again, like slightly missing the mark or falling short or being just plain or ordinary in a negative sense. I'm not quite sure what to make of that section with like the woman, I thought he was saying, on the fourth floor, he was such a happy boy. The woman on the third floor, he was such a happy boy. So there's parts of it I'm not quite sure how they fit in. And even the different vignettes that I did hear a bit more clearly, I don't know how they all necessarily stitch together, but it sounds like maybe it's about this person and everything that she wanted to be true or that she thought might be true or that might turn her good way, and yet didn't end up doing that. And it was, in the end, her imagination, not reality. It was a life that was desired for but not lived, and the life that she's actually living is a disappointment, is a letdown, is a banality, a mediocrity. And then again, what was the line about, like, gossip on street corners and so on. So it sounds like maybe the perception about this person is that she's delusional, or she's living these fantasies that don't actually stack up against what she's really at or in her actual life. I like the I guess chorus phrase of candlelight or candle bright candlelight, won't you light my way tonight, which it's like starlight, star bright, won't you guide my way tonight. I don't remember exactly where that comes from, but I feel like it's playing off of an older phrase, or a phrase from a classic work or song. So yeah, in the moment I can't place it, but I feel like there is a bit of a play on an earlier archetype. But a candle is obviously a lot less bright than a star, and if you have a candle, then it doesn't provide a whole lot of light, and you can't see too far around the radius that a little flame will give off, so it feels murky and dark and uncertain. So even without knowing exactly what's happening lyrically or sonically, I feel like it is very much in that soft cell. I think Mark once said, the unpleasantness, in the corners of the window, or behind the frame, the windowsill of life, rather than the clear, bright world outside. And in fact, I think there was a line, something about the tiny window and the narrow world outside. So it feels like there's maybe a direct expression of what I've come to expect from their lyrics, maybe in general, but certainly by the time of This Last Night in Sodom. So yeah, ultimately it feels very on point, or on the typical stylings and the lyrical track of a lot of soft cell that I've heard. So yeah, very cool and very heavy and brooding. Looking forward to the other two tracks that Kim mentioned. Thank you again. Not only is Kim very benevolent with sharing lots of music and being patient with all the things as I go through them, but there are times where I've kind of wait, I kind of lost my place. Where should I? And she got back to me quickly and mentioned what would be worth going through in the period that I've been in for soft cell, and maybe jumping ahead after a few of these B-side tunes. So 2 more of them to go. Looking forward to that. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you then. Peace.